I can't trust women. As a child, I was probably the most bullied kid in my school. I got into a few fights, but mostly it was the girls who has an unexplained hatred for me. Now those same girls are women, and it honestly sickens me from the bottom of my heart seeing them claim to stand out against social issues and societal oppression. The hypocrisy of that is laughably funny. Of course, they were kids at that time, but what kind of kids destroy someone's self-esteem to the point where they're a quivering mess until college? If karma exists, I hope one day they experience the same treatment, realize their hypocrisy. I met a girl later in life, who asked for forgiveness for her actions. Yes, I was harassed that badly, to the point where I've lost most of the memories from that time, or at least don't want to remember it subconsciously. I said I forgave her at that point because I was stupefied, but I don't. I don't think that action redeems her in any manner, and I hope that she recalls her actions when real-life challenges hit her. I don't really think I can open my heart and trust women again. I have met some good female friends later in college, some who wanted to ask me out, I was told by friends later, but I don't think I can ever truly bring myself to trust a person of the opposite gender again. On the outside, I am a 6.3 college basketball player, but on the inside the child inside me still hasn't forgotten the trauma, hostility and pain I've been made to go throughout my school life. I was in the alt-right and now I feel very bad about everything. This might be quite a confusing read, but try to bear with me please. In my late teens and early 20s, currently 25, I was involved with what some might call the alt-right, though I think I was more alt-light. Although I didn't hate people for their skin color, I hated cringe. I hated drugs because I find drug culture cringy, still don't like drug culture actually. I hated feminism, particularly male feminists, because I found it in them cringy. I hated Antifa because it was cringy, even doxed a few of them, which I now feel bad about. I am not religious, but I found atheism cringy and was repelled by it. What drove me into hate was a disdain for a nihilistic emasculated culture full of soy boys, people who are materialistic and define themselves by what they consume. I am currently a postgraduate at college. Although I didn't go to any alt-right protests and I don't have a criminal record, I have done and said some things I am very ashamed of. I think about it every day and I would like to improve. There wasn't a big wake-up moment for me. Just a slow realization that I had done inhumane, though legal, things and that I did not like the person I was becoming. I realized I was defining myself by things I was against instead of things I was for. I would like to speak out against the alt-right to stop others going down a life of hate. Yet I am worried that by doing so I would not find redemption but further hurt and angst. I don't like transgenders and I feel horrible. I never had a good relationship with someone identifying as the opposite sex they were assigned. I've had friends and even partners at one point who were trans and each one has been roughly the same experience and same ending. In my experience, transgenders are rude, confused, narrow-minded and insane. Everything is problematic with the ones I met. Everything is sexist, insulting or oppressing them. You could fart and one would go, "Hey whoa, are you some kind of transphobe? That fart didn't smell tolerant enough." Everything is just wrong, and if you aren't trans, you have to agree with them on everything or you're a monster and the enemy and deserving of being humiliated and neglected. A small example, a friendship of mine literally ended because I said the word trap. The context of this was literally me just saying I think that character's a trap, while watching some stupid anime. This idiot, who I thought was my friend, went absolutely nuts. Said I just used an offensive slur and that they lost all respect for me. I tried to explain that I didn't have a clue it was a slur, all the while fearing to even advance in the conversation because I might do it again. Trap was just a term in anime for men who cross-dress to attract other men, right? Our argument turned into a screaming match because they started using the info they knew about me to insult me, mentioning my fatherless family, poor, worked-to-death mom, etc. At that point, I was done trying to understand them and where they were coming from. Even after I apologized for accidentally offending them, it boiled down to me throwing them out of my house because they started trashing my living room in some crazed rage. That's how it usually ends. They get mad because I either say something or don't entirely agree with them, they fly into a rage, and sometimes I even have to literally pick up the pieces and move on. It just boggled me how I was ruthlessly banished. I didn't even know that it's considered a slur. Even after apologizing, that just wasn't good enough. My hate festered after that. They got rid of me over a stupid weeb term and found that reasonable to personally insult me, destroy my property, and threaten me. The transgenders I've been around just give me the impression all of them are like that. I think horrible stuff sometimes, like they're all just insane. Why are they allowed to exist like that? Or aren't they the sexist ones because they can't stand their birth gender so much that they have to change it? Here recently I found out most of these trans people have other mental issues, schizophrenia or bipolar personality disorders. Are all trans people just really sick and this is the icing on the cake? I had to walk eggshells around them for so long. I finally gave up. Another so-called friend said I was a closet transphobe and I got so angry. I emotionally supported these bastards for years. Been there for them. Treated them as an equal and didn't even include gender in the mix when interacting. I donated to help them on their transitioning journey because it made them happy. That I caved and went, yeah. Sure. Fine. I'm a transphobe, you retard. The sad thing is, ever since then, I've got nothing but peace. They leave me alone. Me being a transphobe spread like wildfire. There's no drama in my social circle. I feel so guilty thinking this way about them. Now, if you told me you were trans, I'd immediately try to avoid you. And all the while, I'd be judging you harshly. Finding every little thing to criticize because I'm so bitter now. I'm an adult. My friends were adults when this happened. I know by now there has to be sane trans people who just want to live their lives how they see fit and not cause unnecessary drama with people. And yet I feel more and more every day that there isn't and that they all have some mental disorder that makes them insane. They should be avoided. A part of me is secretly pleased the Trump administration is aiming to have only the two genders recognized and trans people still identified as their birth gender. If you can't act right and civilized, why the hell should you get what you want? That's not the point Trump is trying to make, I'm sure. But goddamn, anything to stick it to these rude buttholes. I get they are actually being oppressed right now, but to turn on your own allies if they don't completely surrender their beliefs to you? What the hell? I understand this will offend someone. But I had to get this off my chest. I don't want to feel bitter. I want people to live how they see fit and everyone just get along. I don't care what you identify as. But the unnecessary amount of hate and anger aimed at the wrong people pisses me off. I am a female anti-feminist who wants to be treated like a man's property. Politically and legally, I think men and women should be equal, but in my personal life, I'm quite a chauvinist of a woman. I realize that this isn't the norm, and I think women should feel free to live their lives however they want to, but this is how I would like to live mine. I'm very into traditional gender roles. I've hinted at these things in relationships but I've never actually told anyone the degree to which it really is. The truth is, I want a 1950s style household someday. I want to stay at home and clean the house and take care of the kids, eventually. I don't like having a job. I like cooking and cleaning and looking pretty. I really like the idea of a guy working and me staying at home to make his life as easy and relaxing as possible when he gets home. In return, I want to feel taken care of and protected. I want a guy who will treat me like his property and feel entitled to take whatever he wants from me and command me to do whatever he wants, for any reason. This includes sex, day-to-day activities, and even major decisions. Honestly, I really don't even like making decisions. Sexually, I like for guys to be very dominant. I'm masochistic, so being hit, choked, talked down to, and forced to do anything are all huge turn-ons for me. I love feeling used and pleasing men sexually however they want me to. As far as porn goes, the more demeaning it is to women, the more I like it. I really like to see women being put in their place, so to speak. I'm currently seeing a few different men, and as luck would have it, they are all financially well off enough to make that fantasy a reality someday. I didn't know how much any of them made when I started seeing them. But for whatever reason, not sure if it's just my location or what, it's not age, they're all under 30, they all make well over 100K yearly. They all know how I am sexually, and are all interested in that aspect of my sexuality, but they do not know about my ideal household situation. I am afraid that they would be freaked out and think that I was crazy if they found out. I can't stop fetishizing black women. I don't tell people this because I know the judgment will be there about my taste in women, whether or not people are open about what they actually think about black women. But that's not where the issue lies. I fetishize black women. A lot. I have no idea why at all and I have no justification or explanation for it whatsoever. It just is how I am. I find black women to be the most attractive of all women. If you were to put two women of equal attraction, one white and one black, I would pick the black woman every single time. Even if the white woman was significantly more attractive than the black woman, I would pick the latter every single time as well. No matter how average, ugly, or just plain weird looking the woman is, compared to the white woman. The darker, the better, too. I know that it's wrong. But I honestly can't stop feeling this way. I don't actively seek out only black women for dating because I feel guilt about this. I've tried seeing women of other races, white, Latina, Asian, whatever else, but nothing really happens. Things will seem okay initially, but at the back of my head, I'll know that this will either become a problem for me or for her sometime in the future. No matter how much I try going after women of different races, the problem of attraction always comes up. I'm attracted to all races of women, honest to God, but I'm especially attracted to black women above all else. So much so to the point that if a woman was completely and absolutely my type, minus the fact that she wasn't black, I would honestly have second thoughts about the entire thing. Things could be going well. We could be clicking over every single little detail about our lives, and we could even have shared interests. But the sheer problem of physical attraction would give me a second thought in my head that says, but she's not black. It's going to be a problem for you in the future, and I would make some excuses for why I can't commit to her. I know it is wrong. I know I'm shallow and disgusting. But I have no idea how to stop this blatant fetishizing. I beat myself over it internally and I don't really tell people about my fetish because I know, again, the judgment will be there. I know that if I date a black woman, or pursue one, this will be an issue that will call the entire relationship in question. I'm not willing to put someone through that, putting my feelings aside. I don't know what to do. I don't know how this will come across to people. But I just wanted to get this off my chest. You're all free to judge me for this and you can all laugh if you want. I don't know how ridiculous this comes across, if at all. But, whatever. I broke up with my girlfriend because I found her obesity unattractive. The relationship was 6 months long. I sort of knew, from the beginning, that it had an expiration date. I did not let my girlfriend in on this knowledge, which is why the breakup came as a surprise to her. Let's get back to the start. She is a really wonderful and selfless person. She's clever, has her own life and interests, and is generous. So I really can't fault her for anything. She's supported me through hell a lot, and I appreciate her for that. The only problem, really, was her weight. I genuinely thought that I could get over it and find her physically attractive. I love her face and I love seeing her smile, but I always had a running commentary in my head about her size. She's obese. Possibly even morbidly obese, which would put her BMI in the 40+ range. I'm in the medical field, so BMI is not an uncommon thing for me to think about. I even did research where we used BMI as a criterion for participation. When I see something above 35, the cutoff for just normal obese, I think there is something wrong here. Being around her introduced me to all kinds of adjustments you have to make when you're that large. Here's the sampling. Having to lean back the seat on the car to accommodate your stomach. Buying 2 seats on a flight. Dressing to downplay a large stomach. Assessing the size of chairs, stools, anything sit table. Assessing the gaps between tables at a restaurant. Shaving the downstairs blindly. I never saw her shave, but I can strongly infer. Packing. When your clothes are very large, you have to learn how to fit fewer outfits and more fabric into a carry-on. Being centered on the bed. One time we were making out, she was half on half off the bed, and the thing flipped up like a seesaw. These things bothered me. I mean really did. Wouldn't you notice if you have to rearrange your life like that? Wouldn't you want to take some kind of drastic action and change your circumstances? And I know losing weight is a mental battle as well as a physical one. It's difficult, but Christ. I found myself pointing out little things that she did to make herself feel better. My blood work comes out fine at the doctor. That's just because you're young and lucky so far, your numbers won't always be that way. Eating, always, less than me when around me. I'm sure you didn't get to the size you were by eating this much. Popular plus-sized models. She wasn't hardcore into the health at every size thing, but she did follow some people who were outspoken about it. I had some mental comment on basically everything. I was embarrassed to have her meet my friends and my family, since she was so large. I didn't know how to bring it up, because I had the mindset that I was supposed to love her for her. Our sex life, which was very active at the beginning, died off later. I began to refuse sex, or choose to not have her take care of me after I did her. I didn't like the way I had to move around her body. I didn't like the possibility of being hurt if she fell on me in the wrong way. I didn't like her lack of stamina. I chalked up the lack of interest to being on antidepressants, but eventually I told her the truth. I wasn't physically attracted to her. At all. I hope the news does shake her up. I hope she makes life changes. I hope she realizes how much harm she's doing to herself. And I sound like I'm on a soapbox over here, I know. But I have seen where her path goes, and it sucks. Type 2 diabetes, take some pills, don't lose weight, get on insulin, still don't lose weight, amputate a toe, still don't lose weight, your nurse throws out her back trying to move you, amputate a leg, you go blind and your kidneys stop working. Breaks my heart. But I'm not here to warn you about the dangers of trans fats or whatever. I was trying a relationship not based solely on looks. Because of that, I actually learned how to sit down and have a real conversation with someone. I learned how to listen. I learned how to be myself. And, I guess, I learned that I deserve to have someone I love and desire in every way. She certainly does. You do too.